So for this video, we are going to look at how to shade the basic forms. And I'm going to start this video in sort of a surprising way by showing a formula. This is a formula that someone might learn in physics about the constant speed of light. And the reason why I begin with this is because this formula illustrates that light can be captured in a formula because it's consistent. Light behaves in completely predictable ways. And as a result, there's a speed of light, there are angles that light travels at. And if a physicist can capture the behavior of light, so can an artist. The reason why artists can take flat shapes and turn them into convincing 3D forms is because light behaves consistently, and as a result, we can mimic that. We can illustrate that. So here on my screen, I have a circle, and the artist has used a computer program to create the illusion that it's a sphere. So how did she do that? Well, what she's done is mimic that when light is close to an object, it hits it and creates what we're going to call a highlight. Then, as an object falls away from the light, as in this case a sphere curves away, it's going to create a shadow, and that shadow describes the form. So there's a form shadow, and in this case, since it's on a sphere, spheres are circular, so this shadow has a curve to it. And then lastly, one thing that doesn't show up on my illustration is that there is a cast shadow. So some of the things that we're going to capture when we try to shade a shape and create the illusion of form is highlight, form shadow, cast shadow. And that's going to be really important to create the illusion. Here's another illustration that shows the highlight, the form shadow, and the cast shadow. So you can see in this illustration, they've made a little lamp for the light source. It's on the right. So the highlight's on the right. The sphere falls away on the left side, so there's this curving, spherical form shadow on the left side. And of course, opposite the light source falls the cast shadow. Knowing that now, we look at these three forms, a sphere, a cone, and a cylinder. And we can see that the artist has used highlights, form shadows, and cast shadows. And for each of those forms, the form shadow and the cast shadow describes it. Oh, and even the highlight. In the sphere, the highlight's circular, the form shadow circular, the cast shadow circular. In the cone, the highlight is triangular. Look how it's wide at the bottom, it narrows at the top, and it travels that entire length. Same with the form shadow. And then the cast shadow is triangular. And the cylinder, which is sort of this drum-like shape, the highlight runs up and down the form. The form shadow is similar in shape. And the cast shadow has that rectangular shape with a round quality to it. This photograph, the artist was very careful and deliberate, actually softening edges. We don't really see lines. Really what's describing these forms are simply highlights, form shadows, cast shadows. And those are behaving really consistently. The light's obviously coming from the viewer's left side, so the highlights on every object are on the left side. As a result, the form shadows are on the right side. And those form shadows describe the form. They echo the actual form they're on. And then the cast shadows fall opposite the light source. So that are the basics of shading. We're looking for highlight, form shadow, cast shadow.